Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm the other host, Jeff Mayo.
And Jeff, E3 happened.
Yes, it did.
We are on the other side of E3. We put in a good bit of work for E3.
Yeah.
Stayed up way past our bedtime multiple nights to do reactions. And if you haven't heard those yet, go further back on our podcast feed and you can find our reaction to every single, what we consider major E3 press conferences.
So all of them except for Devolver Digital.
Yeah, sorry, Devolver Digital, which apparently that was just a complete acid trip.
Yeah.
I only saw bits and pieces of it, and I think I saw someone with like blood coming out of their mouth or something.
Yeah. And you should watch this like 15 minutes.
Yeah, like I kind of feel like I need to at this point just because of everything I've heard about it. But yeah, we're gonna get all into our E3 talks, like in case you haven't heard our opinions and our reaction. We're gonna get into that later for the main topic. So we're gonna kind of avoid that right now. But for right now, Jeff, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. Yeah, E3 just happened, so happy about that.
Yeah.
But I've been working. So.
Yeah. I have
fun.
somehow managed to finally play some games recently. Probably the most I've played in a long time. I beat Horizon. I also beat The Witcher, which has been like 2 years in the making.
Just so people know, he beat Horizon, then started The Witcher and beat it.
Yeah. Started it from the beginning. Yeah. No, I started The Witcher in 2015, so that's been a long time coming. And by beat The Witcher, I obviously just mean I beat the main quest. I still have a list of side quests that I haven't
And Blood
done.
and Wine.
Oh, and there's a Hearts of Stone is the first DLC. I'm like 6 hours into that one right now. And
fun.
That's the short one. Blood and Wine's like 30 hours. Yeah, so I have plenty more Witcher to go. But I did beat the main story, and phenomenal game. Like, probably in my top 3 games of all time. And I'm sure if you keep listening to this podcast, I will talk about that game more, because it's just such a good RPG. But yeah, what about you, Jeff?
Because I work and E3 stuff, that's pretty much about all I did last week. Yeah, I haven't much time really played anything substantial. Played a little Injustice here and there. Red Hood was released last week, so messed around with him a little bit.
I did get Injustice too, also. I've been learning them Catwoman combos.
So what he's saying is Jeff's chances of winning are gone. The only reason I won against him or anyone else is because I had the game, so I had some advantage.
I still can't beat Anthony if he's playing as Robin. So,
but I guess the only other thing I really talk about that I played is the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Demo that they released after the Sony press conference last week.
Right. I have not heard very good things about this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I was saying I'm not the most hardcore fighting game guy, so I can't tell you that much about mechanics. All I can really tell you is I felt like I didn't have much fun with this as I did Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the Ultimate Edition or whatever. I guess part of it is they take away a character per team.
Yeah.
Makes it look a little less flashy.
But I didn't have much fun. It's probably never something that you want to hear when making a video game.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad, but
Just
with Injustice and like the way other and even Arms and stuff, I had much more fun with those.
Yeah, just like underwhelming, especially compared to what that franchise can be, and and the other fighting games that are around it.
And you said I'm obviously not alone with this, and it was a story mode demo, so we played a little bit of the story. I have no idea like when in this thing it is.
Is it just a random spot?
It feels like it because Ultron Sigma is already a thing, and we're fighting against Ultron clone things like there was in Avengers 2, and then Asgardian warriors that they like mind controlling. So I guess that's one cool thing though. You're fighting some grunts, so they don't have to have some kind of BS reason why you're fighting another character on the roster every time.
Okay.
Like Injustice, they'll just come up with some reason why you're fighting someone.
Yeah, everything is just every cutscene is just a way to get you to another character.
Yeah.
Just
But it's a story demo, so you'd think they would want to try to get you into the story. There wasn't really much to it, other than you going around and kind of taking turns using the characters.
yeah.
Fighting random grunts, pretty much until the end, where you fight an unbeatable boss.
Yeah.
So, and the graphics aren't good.
I was about to say, like, it's always looked visually. I've always thought the art style looked bad. Every trailer I've seen, it looks that bad in person too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon. Dang.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to give you much up to date on that game because I don't think either of us are gonna get it.
Nope. I'm not planning on unless something's really changed because roster rumors are now pretty much confirmed.
And like it's
very lackluster roster.
No X-Men. It's like there's a lot of like.
Oh, that's gonna be DLC. And it's a weird thing in the trailer. They showed Black Panther, but he's already confirmed for DLC.
Yeah.
He's in the story mode, but you gotta wait for DLC to get him.
It's always so annoying.
Yeah. So.
I'm even spoiled now, like with Injustice. I'm spoiled, and I'm not used to paying for DLC characters because of like Overwatch and other things like that. But
yeah, the most impression you'll probably get for that game is from us is maybe Darby playing the demo.
Yeah,
because it's not long, so
I guess I'll do it. I don't feel very compelled to, but I guess I'll do it for the sake of the podcast. Probably.
We got a demo we're gonna talk about later. We'll be more excited to play.
Yes, we will. But with that, you ready to get into the news, Jeffrey?
Yeah. And people, I know what you're thinking. We just had E3. What other news could there possibly be? Well, there's some news that wasn't in the conference that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, well, you're right. There's probably not much, but
we'll
find.
Here, yeah.
There's more than I thought there would be here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's little stuff, but the
drought's probably coming, though, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
The drought is coming.
We're going to have to get creative.
Yep.
Okay, so first thing we got was, I guess before E3, like a day or two, a Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer.
It happened, Jeff.
Yep. And they said it wasn't going to happen.
We joked about. I think I joked to you in this podcast about getting your hopes up.
Yep.
But it actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the game's still probably coming out in 5 years, but
probably
you got a trailer, so
yeah. And at the end, they tease a new trailer next month for a new world revealed at D23.
Yes.
So something to look forward to. But yeah, trailer was hype. Gameplay looked awesome. Graphics look really good. Definitely an upgrade from past games. The faces could be a little better on some characters, but
yeah.
Other than that,
but I was saying I only played the first Kingdom Hearts, and that was when I was a kid, around when it came out or sometime around then. But I was saying that this is how I remember Kingdom Hearts looking, which is a good thing because I'm sure Kingdom Hearts didn't look like that. I'm sure it looked much, much worse. I just haven't seen it in a while.
I think I remember watching the PS4 versions of Kingdom Hearts and the PS3, PS4 version of Kingdom Hearts 1 doesn't look that bad considering it's a PS2 game.
Yeah, I don't think I've even seen those really. Yeah. Maybe I mean
I'm not saying it's beautiful,
frames,
but
yeah.
It could be a lot worse considering.
Yeah. But I mean, gameplay looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks like the old Kingdom Hearts gameplay, but it seems like they're doing some interesting other things. There's other abilities and weird stuff you're doing.
Yeah, there's definitely some other things in there, but there are also some things that are new to you.
That is true. That is true too.
There's stuff they have made in later games that they're using.
Because there's actually been 20 Kingdom Hearts games, and I'm just kind of speaking for ignorance on that. But
Shotlock is something that was started in Birth by Sleep, the PSP game that they're using here.
Did many people play the PSP games and other ones like that? I mean, did those sell well?
I think they sold decently at least. Obviously, I think more people got their hands on it since they ported every game to PS3/PS4, which, hey, good on them for doing that. Yeah. Good way for people to catch up that are interested in,
Yeah, more games available to play, the better, and the different platforms like that. But you were satisfied?
I was satisfied, especially seeing that, like I said, that teaser for next month.
So, what do you think is going to be the new world?
Well, here's the thing.
What do you think and what do you want?
What do I want? As far as new world, I want Toy Story, man. Just give it to us.
Yes.
Partly so, okay, you get one of the ones I want the most out of the way, and then you also confirmed at the same time, Pixar worlds are
On the
a go.
table,
Yes. So we also get an Incredibles world and stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy person in me. They mentioned Disney or whoever's people in charge of D23 pretty much said the video games they're focusing on a certain day are this and Battlefront 2. Maybe we'll get the Star Wars world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
Or Frozen.
It really seems like if they're able to get the rights to have Star Wars in there, and they put Star Wars in there, it seems like you would advertise that like crazy.
Yeah.
You'd be like shoving that down everyone's throats.
I mean,
the fact that
that's not actually, since I wasn't really following games and I was young, I got into Kingdom Hearts late, before when 1 and 2 were coming out. So I don't know how they marketed those leading up to the games. I don't know if they revealed all the worlds.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But
they also probably just had to convince people that it was a real game for a while.
Yeah. But Star Wars is one either way. You reveal so you can market.
Yes, and that would be a good place because now, like, it seems like half of Disney is Star Wars at this point, or at least in their at least at events like that where they're trying to hype people up. There's so much Star Wars, So that would, like you said, it could be like, now here are the games. You go like Battlefront and then straight into like Sora with a lightsaber keyblade and stuff, and be like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I know like. Would you be like necessarily disappointed that it's like Star Wars, which you don't know much about, or would you be like?
Okay, let me put it this way: just because of the way Star Wars is, and because I am a nerd, considering the fact I haven't really seen a full Star Wars movie, I know a lot about it.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to know just the pop culture.
I don't know deep cut stuff, but
right.
I am well aware enough of the basics to where I can easily. I think I can lay out the Star Wars story pretty well.
I was about to say, you could probably give a decent summary of it without even knowing, just because.
So, I mean, I'd be fine with Star Wars for sure.
Are you aware that Watto is the main character?
Yes.
In the prequels, he's the hero.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then he dies in episode 3. It's really sad.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm probably not going to play it, but just because I'm not well versed enough in all of that's going on with Kingdom Hearts, but I'm very excited for you and many other people who are hyped about that.
And you can bet we will talk about that trailer New World when it comes.
Yes, absolutely we will.
Top story.
Now just waiting for the Final Fantasy VII remake to get a trailer.
You'll be waiting well.
I don't really even want a trailer because I know how far away that game is. I'd rather them just go away and let me forget about it, and then like come back in 2 years when you're actually ready to show something, and it'll be like, oh yeah, woo! And
I hear you, but it's been so long since Kingdom Hearts released. I want something.
Yeah, I get it.
And at least with Kingdom Hearts, the way it's set up with the worlds, they can do stuff every once in a while and keep the hype and show something really new.
Yeah, that is true.
There's a different scenario.
And there's just a lot of uncertainty around the 7 remake anyway. That, like, I don't think, if they're showing anything, I don't believe that it's going to stay in there anyway. With Kingdom Hearts 3, I would at least hope that they have their stuff together now because of how long it's been in development.
Yeah.
I hope that they have some things together.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree. It's different.
Okay, let's move on to the next story. This is just a little quick story. During E3, randomly, Ni no Kuni released a new trailer and announced a release date. November 10th, and it's coming on PS4 and PC.
Oh, another fall game.
Yep, another November game. Another Round Darby's birthday game.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I have a little bit of experience with the first Ni no Kuni.
Mm-hmm.
I was really enjoying the story, really not really enjoying the combat all that much, the gameplay.
Yeah.
I don't even really exactly. I can't put my finger on what I didn't like about it. I mean, part of it was the familiars. It was like Pokemon
aren't
type
in this
thing,
game,
which they're not doing. This looks more like kind of like a JRPG that would be up my alley, kind of. So, potentially might check that out.
Yeah.
It is weird. So was this just like dropped just in the middle of E3, just kind of randomly?
I think so. It might have been mentioned. Might be one of the things that were mentioned in Sony's pre-conference.
All right.
This would have been a cool thing to show.
It caught a lot of people off guard that they were actually releasing things in that pre-conference.
Yeah. What was also surprising is, I guess they kind of said fall 2017, but the Ni no Kuni's coming out soon. Yeah. I guess because I felt like I haven't heard much people kind of thinking maybe it would get pushed back.
It seemed like a prime candidate to get pushed back.
Mm-hmm. But Well, there's a lot of games around it, so I don't expect it to sound miraculous, greatly. But it's its own niche thing. The people who won't Ni no Kuni 2 will buy Ni no Kuni 2.
Yeah, it probably never was going to anyway, and I hope that the expectations were there.
Yeah, but as long as it's a good game, I feel like this is a game that will kind of have legs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one that I might pick up down the road at some point, especially if everyone's saying, like, this is an amazing JRPG.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that release date makes it a no-go for me right away, no matter how much I want it.
Well, you'll probably still be in Odyssey then, but...
and make sure in South Park and stuff while I finish those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there'll be something else. I'll probably still be going through my backlog by then.
Yeah.
But,
we have plenty of stuff to play.
And I might have a Switch by then. Who knows?
Yay. Okay, ready to go into the next story, Darby?
I am.
Okay, well, if you listen to our Sony conference reaction stuff, you might remember us complaining about where in the world was the Detroit and Days Gone release windows. Well, we don't have any answer for Days Gone still, but David Cage, like the mastermind behind this game, confirmed in an interview with GameSpot at E3 that Detroit is coming next year. So... I don't know why they didn't put the general 2018 thing at the end.
Yeah, it seems like if that was something that they felt really good about. I mean, like, this is kind of me. This is, person on the podcast reading into something too much, like all people on podcasts do. But it does kind of seem like if they felt really good about it coming out next year, they would have just put it at the end of the thing. Because this just kind of almost seems like you question the main guy and he just said something in passing, like, yeah, it's going to come out next year or whatever. It wasn't like an official message or whatever. So, again, this just worries me that I think this game is not as far along as we thought, which seems weird.
Yeah.
Because if you're ready to say that it's in next year, why would you not put that in the conference?
Yeah, and who knows when next year he's thinking. Early next year.
Well, because, especially when it's your second E3 showing a game, putting no release date, almost, that does worse than putting, a really far-out release date, because everyone immediately assumes, oh god, this game's nowhere near done.
Oh, yeah. This reminds me of something. It doesn't really affect this game, but, I guess, Spider-Man and stuff. I think what Sean Layden said in an interview that all the ones with a 2018 release, where they said 2018, was going to be released before the next E3.
Okay.
So that'd mean God of War, Spider-Man, and Shadow of the Colossus would be out by this time next year.
I mean, some of those are going to get delayed anyway, even if that's their plan. But that is interesting if that is the plan.
Yep.
I guess there's no good... I mean, I guess... I don't know, early 2018, spring 2018, I guess you could say first half of 2018, but that doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, so it's better to say 2018 and then do a better date like at PSX.
Yeah. That makes sense. I just, I don't think I'm the only one, though. Whenever I see 2018, I just usually immediately assume, fall 2018 with the chance to get pushed back to 2019. That's how I read that.
Yeah, but luckily we got early.
Yeah, and from all accounts of what everyone who saw it, hands-on and everything, everyone says, this, and the way they're talking about it seems like this game's very far along.
It was a while ago they said, obviously I don't know everything is in this game, so this not the crazy thing, but I remember seeing a while ago Santa Monica said, hey, this is playable from start to finish.
Yeah, and... for, what was it, 2 years before the announcement, we were hearing about God of War and Norse mythology or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they've been making this a while.
Yeah, that one I feel better about at least making it by E3 next year, even if it's pushed back a month or two.
I think it's probably going to be January or February.
Yeah, I know that's what they're planning on, but just in case something happens.
Yeah, I see it potentially hitting, maybe in that Horizon time spot.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So,
even though that wasn't Horizon's original spot, but it got pushed back.
But that worked pretty well for Horizon.
No, it did.
Yeah. So
Horizon
go with that again.
Which, by the way, if I didn't say that enough, Horizon was an amazing game too. I got caught up in The Witcher, but Horizon was a phenomenal game.
Okay, let's move on to the next story. This comes from Michael McWhorter from Polygon.
McWhorter
from Polygon.
War Tour.
Michael McWhortortle
Mordor, Milo McMordor.
Okay. Article says Konami multiplayer Metal Gear spinoff Metal Gear Survive. I bet you haven't heard about that game in a while. Won't make its previously scheduled 2017 release window. Yes, it's supposed to come out this year. The game is now coming to PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One in early 2018. Konami representatives confirmed at E3. According to Konami, Metal Gear Survive has been pushed back a few months to give the development team more time to polish the game.
Yeah, the fact that we didn't know that it was even supposed to come out this year kind of like says a lot. But
yeah, I mean, it's weird to even think it'll come out early next year because, and anyone who's listening to this, or Darby, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was nothing shown for Metal Gear Survive other than behind closed door stuff.
Well, there was that trailer.
There was.
There was a trailer when they first announced Metal Gear Survive. And that, when everyone
I mean like this past E3.
Oh, well, yeah. I didn't see any. Like, yeah, I heard about people playing it behind closed doors. Yeah. That's all I heard. Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
But you think for a Metal Gear game, we will see more of it's coming out before the next E3?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of almost like they don't want to show this that much because every time they do, it gets torn apart. This is part of it. And, like, I was saying to Jeff before we started recording, like, well, like, granted, the game, it doesn't really seem like that. The game doesn't seem that interesting, and everyone I've heard that's played it has said, like, at best, it's okay. Like, everyone says it's, like, nothing that special. But I do kind of feel sorry for it because if a normal random game came out and it wasn't that great, that would be the end of it, and people would be like, okay, it's not great, and move on. But because it's Metal Gear and because of its Konami and its post-Kojima Konami and all the, like, drama that's gone on, this game's going to get torn apart more than another game would, I think.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks because, I mean, these are people working on the game. All they want to do is make a good game. It's not their fault that, that everything happened with Kojima and Konami and everything. And that's what just kind of sucks. Just the whole situation is unfortunate.
So wait, what are you telling me is Metal Gear Survive not going to be at the Game Awards this year? No trailer, no world premiere from Jeff Keighley.
Keighley's going to, like, get a copy of it and, like, smash it over his leg. And so no one messes with Kojima. He just starts crying. Oh, that man loves Kojima.
Yep. A lot of people do.
They do.
Okay. Ready for the next story, Darby?
I am. Hesitantly.
This comes from Alex Gileadov from IGN. A Sly Cooper animated TV series is in development. Technicolor Animation Productions, the same studio behind the Sonic Boom TV show, has teamed up with Sony to work on the Sly Cooper TV adaptation. The series will follow Sly Cooper and his two best friends, the muscular hippo Murray and the intelligent turtle Bentley, as they steal and try to save Sly City while being on the run from Inspector Carmelita Fox. The show will also feature a few of Sly Cooper's villains and promises to retain the franchise's blend of action and humor. No release date for the show has been set yet, and there are no details regarding the voice cast.
Jeff.
Darby.
I swear if they screw with me, Jeff. Like, if you do this and you do it bad, I will have to, like, hide away somewhere for a while. I can't
cautiously optimistic.
I don't even know if it's too dangerous to even be that. Like, because, I mean, the only thing we kind of have to go off of is, number one, the, like, movie trailer for that movie that they just stopped talking about. Like, it was supposed to even come out this year, and they just kind of, like, yep.
I think it's supposed to come out last year.
Something like that, and they just won't even say anything about it, so I think it's dead. But that trailer looked bad. Like, the animation looked really, really bad. Yeah. And the only other thing we have to go off of is Sonic Boom, which I don't know much about Sonic Boom, but every, like, Sonic TV show I've seen has been complete trash.
But chili dogs.
Exactly. I don't know if Sonic Boom is, like, equally as bad, or if this was some random special good Sonic. So, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, and I probably still won't believe you, but I'll, like, look into it. I'll probably look into Sonic Boom just because they're making this. I want it to be good, though, Jeff.
Me too.
Can you imagine if it is good?
That'd be great. And they got the most of the original voice actors.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really said anything.
Nope.
Yet, but they need to. And I like follow the
Sly Cooper's
Cooper's voice actor, and like he gets excited like every single time anything Sly comes up, and he was saying like, "I'll tell you guys if they call me the like voice, and I'll let you guys know." Like I just want it to be like Sanzaru's cutscenes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about in Thieves in Time. We were saying even back then like they should just make a cartoon out of this. It would be really cool. I know it's not going to be that, but I hope they go towards that kind of animation, not 3D animation. I want it to be more of a 2D cartoony style thing.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be 3D.
Probably.
Yeah.
There's potential there, and this is like, if you haven't figured it out by now from me just rambling on like this, Sly Cooper is one of my favorite series of all time. Very special place in my heart, so I hope they do it good.
I hope so too.
I've kind of like robbed the conversation. Do you have any opinions on this?
I have a wait and see approach. Just see how they do it.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, we just avoid it like the plague.
It's gonna be yeah. It's gonna be hard.
And
can imagine what if it's good
and successful
new
Sly game,
and we get a new Sly game.
Exactly. Gotta have hope, Darby.
I hope we're living in the good reality.
Yes.
The good timeline that allows that to happen.
Yep.
We'll see.
And speaking of the good timeline, we are in it. Because Doc Hack GU Last Recode has been announced.
Now it's Jeff's turn to nerd out.
Yes.
You have the floor, Jeff.
Okay, so I think I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the, our gaming history episode or whatever, way back when, a couple months ago.
Yep, when this podcast was still a tiny little seed.
Yep.
And it was probably really, really bad.
Yep.
So thank you if you've been listening since then. Thank you.
Anyway, Dot Hack GU is one of my favorite series from the PS2 era. I played all the 3 games, that was released for it in pretty quick succession, which, if I remember right, they were all 3 of them released like a year apart, or at least localized like within a year.
No.
It's really weird.
I watched you play all of them, I think.
Yeah. They'd already watched me play a fair amount of those. So I am very happy about this, especially if, people who played the game, if you've seen the trailer, you might have noticed at the end, unless I'm really forgetting something, Haseo, the main character, would like to have a new form. Which, people who don't know, every single game, main character Haseo has a new form change.
Yeah.
Which is in-game reason for it. Well, because they're in a video game and he has like a class up.
So you thinking like just kind of added content to one of those games, or do you think this is a tease for a new game?
Maybe a bit of both. It might be kind of like a new game that's inserting this, or a little smaller thing. Because
Ground Zeroes type thing. Or something?
Yeah, maybe. Just if I'm remembering exactly right, the Dot Hack games is they're JRPGs, but they're really not crazy long considering, like, I don't want to remember this specifically, but I remember beating the first one in about 24 hours.
Oh yeah, it's not bad.
And I don't see the other ones being that much, remember that one's being any longer, really.
Right.
So, adding a little something to it, a reason to do that. But yeah, I'd love it if it was a new game.
I mean, like, it really honestly... like, a lot of times when they release these collections, it's because they're about to announce a new game.
And even this is kind of random in a way, because there's another Dot Hack, like, trilogy, or it might have 4 games in that one. I didn't really play those. It was released during the PS2 era. That's the main one, the one more people know, I think. At least the characters are more recognizable. Makes me wonder why they didn't do that one. But maybe they felt like these aged better.
Yeah.
Potentially, since they're later games.
Are these the ones you like?
Oh, yeah.
You like the most, yeah.
I love these games. Hopefully they hold up. That's the main thing I'm worried about.
This is a day one buy for you?
Probably.
You think you're going to go
back? Especially there's new stuff.
You think you're going to try to go back through all 3 of them?
Yeah.
Maybe just like while you're doing other things. That's something like I might try to go through Final Fantasy 12 while I play other games.
Yeah.
I might just like jump in a little bit here and there and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, what I liked about this thing, not a crazy thing, but stuff like your gear you had and everything, your levels carried over from the game to game, including for all your party members.
That's cool.
Yeah,
especially for back then.
Yeah. That was really cool. So,
were all of these like PS2 games?
Yep,
they all were. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if one of them was PS1 or one was PS3, but
nope. I think all the dot hack, at least the ones people mainly know here, dot hack GU games and the original dot hack games were all PS2.
Well, that's awesome. I'm sure this was very cool news for you.
Yeah.
Unexpected news.
And again, especially that last like little scene where, again, new form. That means something new.
They were obviously, I mean, like, they showed like the name or whatever, it went away, and then that was like a post-title screen thing. It was obvious they're teasing something.
Yeah. And just based on the footage they show, which I guess was all mostly cinematic footage, but looks like graphics hold up pretty well.
Yeah,
considering PS2.
Yeah,
they'll update them some.
I mean, a lot of it with the like cutscene type stuff, but like, it looked pretty good to me.
So I'm definitely excited for this.
I mean, kind of almost. I mean, it looks like a modern Tales game, maybe even better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not saying much, but still, it looks good enough.
Mm-hmm. So,
I
guess this wasn't technically at E3, but it was technically announced during E3. This is one of my most hype announcements during the week.
I can imagine.
So yeah, and I was worried at first because the first thing that came out was only Japanese stuff. It's like, it's going to be Japanese only, at least for a little bit. But then they immediately released the English trailer, which I showed you right before this.
Yeah, I really hope it's the same time.
Yeah. And again, if they add new stuff, I am 100% in day one.
Nice. I'm excited for you. I kind of want to watch you play some of those again, just so to see if I remember. I vaguely remember things, but if I saw it,
I get it.
I might enjoy it. Yeah. Maybe I should play it this time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ready to move on to the next story, Darby?
I am. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one. Okay, we briefly talked about this during our Sony conference reactions. This is Playlink, which was revealed beforehand, which we didn't really talk about much because we just literally saw the article right before we started recording, so we weren't able to time to know exactly what it is.
A lot of people were kind of surprised that like Sony announced like a lot of games and some like important stuff before the conference, and like I mean, maybe we just weren't doing our jobs good enough, but I didn't even know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people seemed to not either, so it kind of went under the radar of some people.
Yeah. But I guess the best way to describe Playlink as what I know about it is it's like Jackbox, but stuff.
Yeah,
that's different style games.
That's probably like how me and you would describe it. Yeah, it's
so pretty much. For people who do not know what the Jackbox game is, it's pretty much playing a game on a console or PC or whatever, but you use your phones as a controller to input stuff.
Yeah, you use a lot with like a group of friends or something, and like you all do input stuff on your phones.
They kind of describe Playlink as a way for people who don't normally play games to enjoy games, which seems to be the case with Jackbox games.
But yeah, like merging mobile gaming with this. Not really not as much like mobile gaming as you know it, but just kind of like connectivity with that,
But mainly we're talking about this because a certain game that was announced with it that we didn't notice, when we were talking about the Sony conference. And it's called Hidden Agenda.
Yes.
It is made by the Until Dawn devs, so they're making more than just VR games.
Which we were worried after the Sony conference that they were just going to be a VR studio, but this is very exciting.
Yes. This game is supposed to come out this year. They don't have an exact date, but supposed to come out this year. And
so for people who don't know, how does this game connect with Playlink and what is this about?
Pretty much with Playlink, they said you can play a single player like you normally would with like Until Dawn and stuff, using one controller, or you can have up to 5 people using their phones to help make decisions.
Right.
They didn't go into great detail about how it'll work. In this game, they showed some stuff like people, I guess, but selecting stuff, but they didn't go in depth like, do you, does one person, does everyone get a turn to pick a choice? Is it majority rule?
I think I've heard.
It looks like they showed stuff of both.
Yeah. Which, by the way, this is like a detective type game. Yeah. It's like a murder mystery detective. So it's not horror like Until Dawn. Mm-hmm. They're kind of going with a different vibe here. And it's like that, and you all have to make decisions like that. I think I heard from people who talked to like the developers, like that there's even like I think it's different. Like sometimes you make your decision separate from other people, and then there's sometimes you all have to make a unanimous decision. I think, like I heard just vague things about that. Mm-hmm. I mean that's all I really heard. Yeah. But they even have like if you haven't seen the trailer, like the developers like kind of talk about the whole thing, so it's interesting. But they even have like certain things where like you'll just get some objective on your phone that like no one else can see, so you try to like get something to happen.
Yeah, you try to influence everyone's decision or whatever for them to do what you want.
Yeah, without them knowing that you are. So it's one of those.
And based on what they said, everyone will know that someone has a hidden agenda.
Right.
But they don't know who. And you got to try to make sure they don't figure it out and what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And what like I loved so much about this was the developers basically said like, you know, they made it Until Dawn. It's like a single player game. You only have one controller, you do that. Mm-hmm. And that's the way the game was made. But so many people, us included, played that game with a group of friends.
Yeah.
And like
or people streaming it and the people in the chat telling them what to do.
Yeah, it was really good for that too. So that you could all kind of like you all made decisions. Like the way that we did it is like we all picked characters that were going to be our characters. So we just whenever that character would come up in the store, we'd pass the controller to that person. Not everyone did that, but it became like a group experience for us. Like we would get every other night, we'd all get together and do that. Even though the game wasn't even meant to be that way, and the developers saw that people were doing that and said, "Hey, let's just make a game catered to that."
Yeah,
which I think it's really cool that they were looking at that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, I think it's be interesting for streamers is because you see when people play like Jackbox games, I guess depending on how this is done, you use a code for people to do on the phones. The streamer can pick like random people in the audience so they be the other people who make the choices.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'm kind of worried about or kind of on about at least the way Hidden Agenda is doing it. Well, with the way they're doing the Hidden Agenda things, I'd like it just straight up. People just vote on what to do.
Yeah.
If you have the option to do that, and maybe even better if it was anonymous.
Yeah.
So you don't know who picked what.
Yeah.
Unless they say so, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there might be. I
have to delete the option.
Yeah, there might be like some sections that are like that and some sections that are different. You know, It might be like they might mix it up.
The Hidden Agenda thing is cool, but I don't know if that's the way I'd want to play with our friends necessarily.
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to see more of it. But I mean, even that, I just love the idea of this.
Oh yeah,
and like I love any gaming thing that is about local multiplayer. Like, you know, people like in a room together, like where we can get together with friends and play something.
Especially with a unique like story thing like this, which some of our friends can get into more than the normal games we play.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just happy Supermassive Games or whatever Until Dawn devs are making another game like this, not just VR.
Yeah, and I mean, like they're kind of killing it right now. They're releasing a bunch of different games and kind of doing cool new things with this. Sadly, I mean, it doesn't really look like Until Dawn is anywhere in their feature right now, at least.
Which is weird because part of the reason they didn't do it is because they want to be stuck making Sony exclusives, but they just announced 3 Sony exclusives.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but
oh well. At least we're getting a game from them.
Yeah, I'm excited either way.
Mm-hmm. We will definitely give updates about that and hopefully impressions by the end of the year.
Yeah, I just hope they really like heavily advertise this to Until Dawn devs so people who don't pay attention this closely can still like see this and be like, oh yeah, we loved Until Dawn. Like,
yeah.
You know, so,
or at least I heard good things about this.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for the next story, Darby?
I am, Jeff.
Well, get ready to sit back and listen to some reading.
Get comfortable.
This isn't even the longest one. Okay. These articles come from Alex Osborne and Matt Porter from IGN. IO Interactive has officially become an independent studio and acquired the rights to its self-action franchise, Hitman. Studio CEO Hakan Abrak, oh boy,
Sure.
shared the news in a post on IO's official website. He said, "I am proud to announce today that IO Interactive is now officially an independent studio. We have successfully concluded our negotiation with Square Enix and have agreed to a management buyout. Crucially, we will keep all the rights to the Hitman IP." And this is from a... So yeah, they got the complete rights to Hitman, which is awesome. That's what everyone wanted.
Yeah, because everyone was worried when they it's. I think someone said it would have made the news seem a lot sadder, a lot more hopeful if we could have gotten this news when they got laid off. Because at first it's just oh god, they got separated from Square Enix, they're gonna die. You know, but we didn't know they were getting this.
Mm-hmm. And if you're like us and been wanting to play Hitman, but haven't gotten the chance to really try it, okay, good news for you. The newly independent developer IO Interactive has a treat for you, as it has made the first section of Hitman completely free. And what does that entail? The ICA facility location has 2 story missions, 2 escalation contracts, over 40 challenges, and 17 achievements. You'll be able to see all the associated cutscenes. And if you decide to buy the game after playing, all your progress will remain.
That's good.
Yeah. And Abrak said, "I am proud to announce that our first hello as an independent studio is to invite all gamers to play the beginning of Hitman for free. There's a lot of love out there for Hitman, and with this offering, we hope that many more will fall in love with the game. We believe that this is Hitman at its best. So jump in and give a try," which we will.
I already love these guys. I mean, it's great.
Yep.
The fact
I haven't played it yet, but I went ahead and downloaded it. So I have it.
I mean, this happens. They're away from, they get kicked out of Square Enix. They get the Hitman license immediately, give away stuff for free and put it on sale and stuff like that.
And I don't know when exactly this will go up, but starting today, which is June 20th, for the next week or so, on all online stores, from what I understand, the game's going to be 60% off. Yeah. So $20 to $24,
which is really good. Yeah.
So yeah, if this is the first time you're learning about this, go try the demo, and if you like it, go buy the game and support these guys.
Yeah. So what this means for the future, basically, now, there's multiple ways to look at it. On the one hand, they can kind of do whatever they want now. They can make the Hitman game that they want to make without any pressure from a big company like Square Enix or whatever, which is very good.
Yeah.
The other thing is they're an independent studio. That means a lot less money unless you get it from somewhere outside, which I guess there's a possibility now they could go the Kickstarter route potentially, which I think there's building loyal fans. It might work if they're able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing for them to do, because at least it's not someone coming out of nowhere saying, "Hey, give me money." It's someone saying, "Hey, to follow up this game, we got a lot less resources. Yeah. So we might need some help." But they've shown that they can do it and give what they're promising.
Yeah, they've shown that they can do it, and they're we have this license. We have Hitman.
Yeah.
It's not like we're coming to you with nothing, with unproven something or whatever. We have this series that you love, and we made this game of it that you love.
Yeah. And they're not coming, which, is weird for me saying since I backed Ukulele. But they're not saying, "Hey, we have a spiritual successor to our hit game."
Right. This is even better.
And we kind of using the same things, but not really.
Right.
They can do anything they want with it.
Which, I mean, it's kind of crazy that they were even able to get it from Square Enix. Because it seems like Hitman... I would have mentioned Hitman as being one of Square Enix, especially Square Enix America's biggest IPs.
Yeah. But I think I saw some stuff to Square Enix, the sales for this Hitman game were disappointing, but for IO Interactive's, they were thrilled with the sales and the reception to it.
So I guess there's just a different, they're not all on the same page there.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of Square Enix has got. I mean, I'm not gonna say Square Enix has gotten too big, but they're just probably too big, I guess, for this, for IO and for this.
I guess the way IO wants to do these games, because I have no reason to doubt they're going to continue the episodic thing. They pretty much said that's their plan, because it works so well and everyone seems to love it.
And it allows them to keep working on the game, not have to have it all done in one go, and so there's that part of it. It's also interesting to think now from here going forward, unless like they're bought out by someone else or something, which it doesn't sound like it, Hitman's going to be technically an indie game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's weird. Our definition of indie, we've kind of butchered the word indie, because like when we say
In
indie,
music and
in everything,
Yeah,
because indie technically means independent, so that's just literally any like studio or anything like that that isn't in a label or a studio and stuff like that. It's its own thing. So technically Hitman's just as much of an indie game as like Undertale. But when we say indie, we usually mean like 2D platformer or like, a little thing like that. So it's weird.
Yeah. So when is Hitman gonna cross over with Shovel Knight?
Well, I think all indies have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rule.
It's a law. But I had an interesting thought about the whole funding thing, and I hope they don't really go this route. I hope they just don't have any restrictions in general, but they could do a deal with Sony or Microsoft or something to help.
Yeah,
one of those deals. I kind of hope they don't do that either way.
I hope they don't either, but I could see Sony's done that with other games like No Man's Sky. I'm sure we could come up with a better example, but I could see Sony potentially being like, "We'll help fund this if you make it an exclusive."
Yeah. But I feel like IO might be this whole thing. Be like, now we're gonna distance our fans that we have on the.
Well, and
on
the way
Xbox One and PC.
The way they're talking about like we're independent and we're excited about it.
Yeah.
Like it seems like
they don't want to answer to no one.
If they were wanting to fish the market to get bought by someone else, it doesn't seem like they would be talking as highly as they are about.
Oh yeah, I know that something means Sony or Microsoft buying it. I mean, maybe help fund it. So
or
some exclusive stuff.
Yeah, and that could be a thing. And I wouldn't even necessarily fault them, but it does kind of sound like they're wanting to do their own thing. But if they do that, it's going to be a harder. Like they're going to have to probably do Kickstarter for a game that big. I feel like if you're not going to get something like that, I feel like that's the only way.
Hey, I'll be honest. If I'm going to play that demo, if I like it, I'll buy the game. If I like the game, they did Kickstarter, I would consider helping.
Yeah, I'd consider it too. I mean, I want to play this game first. I would consider it. Yeah. Just because I like the story.
Again, they've proven I think from what we've seen, they've proven themselves.
And I like to help people like that. Studios that are doing something like that.
Okay, so Darby, you ready to move on to our last story?
I am, Jeffrey.
This is gonna be a long one.
It's doozy.
Okay. So, these articles come from Alex Osborne and Alex Gileadov from IGN. I feel like I say that name different every time I say it.
Yeah, we get so many articles from him. We should probably figure out how to say his name. But
I feel like I figured it out sometime, but I forgot.
You're doing better than I probably would.
Yep. Okay. So, PlayStation 4 doesn't support crossplay with other platforms for games like Rocket League and Minecraft. If you watch some of the conferences, you might have noticed that.
Right.
And Sony has come forward to defend its decision to block such support. When asked by Eurogamer why PS4 lacks crossplay support, SIE Global Sales and Marketing Head Jim Ryan said, "We've got to be mindful of our responsibility to our install base." He went on to highlight Minecraft and the importance of protecting that community, which includes many younger players. He says, "We have a contract with the people who go online with us, that we look after them and they are within the PlayStation created universe. Exposing what in many cases are children to external influences we have no ability to manage or look after is something we have to think about very carefully." Ryan emphasized that Sony has no philosophical stance against crossplay at all, knowing that the company has done it in the past and are always open to conversations with any developer or publisher who wants to talk about it. With regard to whether or not Sony will ever open its doors to crossplay for games like Minecraft and Rocket League in the future, Ryan said, "I don't think anything is ever a done deal. That said, to my knowledge, there is no live conversation ongoing at the moment." So we got more, but we'll stop there for now.
Complete BS, right?
Yeah, what is that response?
And to be honest, it's not I'm not saying it's a good thing or whatever, and it's gonna look bad on Sony no matter what. But I kind of understand, they don't get much out of doing this when you're in the lead like that. You don't get much out of opening the door and allowing, Xbox players. Right now, Sony can be like, no, you're not allowed to cross-play if you just have an Xbox. Like, if someone has an Xbox and all their friends have a PlayStation, if they want to play with their friends on PlayStation, they have to get a PlayStation.
Yeah.
And that's better for Sony than the other way around. And there's a lot more situations like that than there are people who you have a PlayStation and all your friends have Xboxes. That's just how it is when you're in the lead by this much. So it doesn't benefit them to do this. And I would have had a lot more respect for them if they were just honest about that. Or even if they came up with a normal, like, BSPR answer. But you're worried about the children.
Think of the children, Darby.
So are they basically saying that the Xbox doesn't care about children and they're doing a horrible job like keeping them?
Xbox, Nintendo, PC.
And you're talking about Nintendo, who doesn't even let voice chat on their Splatoon.
Hey, they're doing it now, kind of. It's weird.
It's very
but
hard.
That's not what we're talking about now.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, this was just a very dumb thing to say. And it was probably just something in the moment. I can't believe that Sony wouldn't have had a response ready. Mm-hmm. Or a better response than that. Like,
yeah, they had the notice was coming. I mean, well, maybe I guess they had no reason to tell because that's, well, okay, never mind. They should have known because obviously Microsoft and Psyonix talked to them about it. And they had to figure, okay, this is going to be announced soon.
You know, Psyonix didn't just bypass PlayStation when they were asking people for this. That was probably that's the one they want the most.
Yeah, probably. It's like, hey, do you want to do cross-play with these? Oh, okay. No? Okay.
All right, well, we're going to do it with them, and you're going to look really bad. But
we're going to continue making millions of dollars.
And I mean, and because this is they've talked about this before. Like this is even Sony's had to try to defend this before when Rocket League said that they were talking to Microsoft and other people.
It's coming up again because Minecraft and Psyonix is bringing it up again because Nintendo's now involved. With it being on the Switch.
Right, and there is weird things like I know that, like, didn't they, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say, like, for Nintendo's, if you do Nintendo crossplay with Xbox, you have to have, like, an Xbox Live account or something like that?
I saw that, but I don't know the full details, so I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, well, I heard, like, someone on the podcast was saying, like, one of the weird things for Sony is that, like, it's kind of like just a dumb, childish thing, but it makes sense from a business standpoint. Like, you don't want a PlayStation person to have to, like, log into an Xbox thing on their PlayStation to do this.
Yeah, I think it's only that, but at least I think I saw you don't have to have an Xbox Gold or whatever account.
No, not that. But I think you have to, like, log in through Xbox Live or something like that. Like, you have to. I think it's through Xbox. But
I wonder how Psyonix is doing it then.
Either way, it just makes this whole thing seem kind of childish almost. Where it's just like these companies won't play nice with each other at all to the point where you're just coming up with. I mean, does anyone buy that?
I can tell you someone who doesn't. Head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, doesn't agree with Sony's explanation for why there's no PlayStation 4 crossplay for Minecraft. In an interview with Giant Bomb, Spencer disagreed, saying Ryan's comments don't seem healthy for anyone. Spencer goes on to say, the fact that somebody would make an assertion that somehow we're not keeping Minecraft players safe, I found not only from a Microsoft perspective, but from a game industry perspective. I don't know why that has to become the dialogue. Spencer then went on to reassure that the safety of Minecraft players across all platforms, not just on Xbox One, is incredibly important to Xbox. We would never put Minecraft in a place where we felt like we weren't keeping our players safe, he said. Despite his disagreement with Sony's excuse, Spencer reiterated he's still very much open to changing things.
Yeah. I mean, like, they seem like, I mean, they're obviously, in this situation, they're going to seem like the more reasonable side of it, but I'm not even, like, taking one side or the other. This is, like, with these businesses, this is a chess match.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft is in the position where, of course, they're going to say yes to this because they have nothing to lose. This might keep Xbox gamers from leaving their platform because they're able to crossplay and do that. Mm-hmm. When you're down there, you have nothing to lose from that. Yeah. And also, like, I saw some people, like, lifting up Microsoft for there was someone, it might have been Phil Spencer, but someone made comments saying the like the us against them mentality or whatever between Xbox and Sony and everyone else. He was like, this is unhealthy for gaming. And I'm like, okay, well, that's easy to say when you're the one at the bottom.
Yeah, it was Phil Spencer.
That's real easy to say when the other people are beating you really badly, and competition hurts you at that point because you need, like, you're getting beat. I guarantee you, if Microsoft had 50 million units while Sony had 25, this would be the same thing, just the other way around. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the real sin here, I think, was just that comment. That comment was just
it's just a poor PR smart. Excuse.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, it's in a way it was one guy, and like he can't speak for everything. Sony should have had him prepared with a better response than that. But no matter what, it doesn't look good, and like I don't think it's that. And again, like I'm not praising Microsoft for shunning PlayStation that much. They're big businesses, and I honestly don't care all that much. But I mean, it's interesting. But I don't have stock in these companies. It doesn't really like it's nothing to me. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, there's starting to be little things where it's almost like PlayStation. Both of these companies have been rising. One rises, one falls. The other rises, the other one falls between like the PS2 and PS3 and 360 and all of that until now. And Sony's starting to do things like this where it almost kind of seems like they're starting to lose perspective on their like, we're doing everything for the gamers, doing this and all that. Like, and Microsoft is starting to look like the good guys, quote unquote, again. There's just little things like that.
We're getting arrogant Sony back.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, yeah. Well, and that's one reason why I love following the video game industry so close, is seeing like how these companies literally, they get arrogant. Like, we saw Sony do it with the PS3, and then Microsoft swings in there with the 360 and takes advantage of Sony's arrogance, and then the exact opposite thing happened with the Xbox One and PS4. It's kind of crazy that this cycle keeps happening, and we might be up for another one.
Yeah, will be interesting to see once, I guess, the real next console things are launched.
I guess we took that conversation pretty far to like a more like big level thing, but it is interesting,
Yeah, it'd be great if Sony could just play nice. But yeah, we'll do it for the gamers.
Yeah,
and the children who want to play with the little frenzies.
Again, they're a company. Everything is money, and I'm not even saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that's just how it goes,
Yeah. So the real winner here is Nintendo.
They're just like, we're just sitting here, man. Like, we're just,
I feel like the crossplay is really helping them with Rocket League and Minecraft sales. Be like, okay, so I can still play with my friends, but go on the go.
And that's really cool.
And I'm not really losing anyone, like unless they were a PS4 gamer. But yeah,
which is a lot of people. But.
Yeah. So I've seen because of this, a lot of people are double dipping at Rocket League, like 100%.
Yeah.
So, and Minecraft, of course.
I mean, really cool from Psyonix and Nintendo's, and even Microsoft's perspective. I mean, it is cool.
But, yeah, I'm glad Nintendo's not like, no, we're keeping ourselves separate. This is a holy ground.
They're another one, just they don't have anything to lose by doing it,
Oh, yeah. No, but they have a lot to gain from it because consoles are different. You gotta have those incentives.
If this was like the Wii era, Nintendo would probably say no to this. It's just like, again, I don't think it's anything particular with Sony. I think it's just positioning.
See, everything's best when everyone's pretty much on the same level.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, when there's competition's better. And it's, because if they were on the same level, Sony would be like, oh, dang, Xbox looks really good right now. We look really bad. They could pass us. We better do this to get people on our side. Mm-hmm. Right now, they have such a buffer that they're like, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter as much.
We don't need your cross-play.
So, yeah. I mean, something needs to make Sony a little more scared than they are right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, things are going good. It's not like Sony's doing bad. Like, they've actually had an amazing 2 years. But I just see the dominoes starting to fall there. Yeah.
Well, got anything to add to that? Any more to say for that news, Darby?
I don't. I'm pretty satisfied with how far we took that.
Yep.
All right, well, that is all of the news we got this week, Jeffrey.
Yep, surprising amount.
Surprising amount for post E3.
Yep.
Usually it's pretty dead. I was kind of worried about.
Don't worry, Darby.
Sorry.
We have a couple months to be worried.
All right, well, right now, Jeff, I want to talk about E3.
Okay. I do like E3.
Now, let's milk E3 for as far as we can take it.
I mean, we're talking about E3 next podcast as well.
Everyone's going to be talking about E3 for a long time. That's how these things work. This is like the Daytona 500 of the video game industry, the Super Bowl of the video game industry. You know, I don't know why I went to Daytona 500 first.
I don't know.
I don't watch NASCAR at all, but anyway, it's a big deal. So, Jeff, how did you enjoy E3 2017?
Enjoyed it a lot. Some good stuff there. Maybe not as many, like, oh my god, announcements as we used to the last couple of years, but still really good. Got some good announcements, for our taste in there. Right. And we saw a lot of good stuff from games we already knew about. Get us more excited, and yeah.
I agree. I think that really, especially in comparison to like all the E3s I grew up watching, this is still one of the best. And I think people, myself included, are going to be too quick to like be negative about it just because of how amazing the last 2 years were. I do think there's at least a little bit of us being spoiled here.
Unless you're a Nintendo fan.
That is very, very true. But overall, I think this was a solid E3.
Yeah.
It did, again, like you said, it didn't have as many of the big, like, shocker announcements that everyone's losing their mind over. And I think part of that is because people use them up the last few years. There's not really that much left to announce. And because, especially last year, there were so many games that were announced that were very far away.
Yeah.
So it was just, you kind of didn't have anything to show except for just showing them again. Which, seeing those games is good, but we're always kind of waiting for something new in these now.
Yeah. I feel like most of what we're saying right now applies to Sony, mainly.
It's mainly Sony, yeah. Because, Microsoft was just so different this year. Everything was about
they announced a lot of stuff. A lot of smaller stuff, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Multi-platform stuff.
They went for quantity, but it was also quality. They did a good job. Microsoft was good.
They just didn't have. They just weren't all like AAA blockbuster type games.
Yeah, and Nintendo had more than one game, so theirs was a lot different than last year.
Yeah. But what a game that was.
It was, yes. So. Yeah, I guess we can just kind of like generally talk about the different companies and just like where you think they stand. We can kind of just free form go through this or whatever.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's start off with Microsoft.
Okay.
So a lot to show here and a lot changing here. Obviously, headline is Xbox One X, $500 out November 7th.
Yep.
So many teraflops.
Incredible amount of teraflops.
So many teraflops, you won't even believe. 4K support, all that stuff. Most powerful console ever by a long shot. Smallest Xbox, like design-wise, whatever. Yeah. But it's not a giant brick like the Xbox One was.
Take that.
So, all that stuff. What's your take on the Xbox One X?
Yeah, about the same for the PS4 Pro. Like, it's for those people who have a lot of money for this stuff and care a lot about power. Yeah.
And especially, I think the $500 price point hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. The whole thing is, it only hurts if Microsoft's expectations are for this to completely blow up and everyone to buy it.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it should be, but they're a little confusing with that, I feel like.
Yeah, well, the main thing about this is when I think of the audience for the Xbox One X, I keep on thinking the crowd that's, pretty much the PC crowd. But they already have PCs, which are, if you have the money to buy an Xbox One, you're probably using that to build a more powerful PC than this is. And because the way Xbox does their first-party games already on PC, they can play it on those. So they don't necessarily need an Xbox.
Right, yeah.
So It's a weird thing. I know there's some people who aren't PC crowd who'd be interested in this, but I don't know. They feel like there'd be a lot of people who are both.
Yeah, and like I feel like there's a place for this in the gaming and like even in console gaming, and I think it's gonna be like there are gonna be games that look crazy because of this, like crazy good, like way better than they could on anything else, and it's gonna like kind of put the PS4 graphically to shame. Like there's gonna be a lot of that, and it's gonna be awesome, but I just don't see this being enough for many people. I mean, it's definitely not enough for us, but we're not really like power people anyway. And I think there's definitely a clear ceiling to how much this can sell, and they must know that with the $500 price point. But the only thing is, if that's the case, then why was this teased for a year? Yeah. Why did they make a Project Scorpio logo, make all these crazy things, build up to it, have this grand big reveal at the top, and then like mention like Xbox One X after every single game? It just seems like they're making a bigger deal out of it than I feel like it deserves.
Oh, and yeah, it's obvious to see because when, after these conferences, when people talk about E3, you don't really hear Xbox One X come up that much other than, it existing like, oh yeah, that's big news. Then they don't really say much about it.
And I have barely heard anyone say that they want to buy it.
Yeah.
When they talk about it, they're like, this is for someone else. This is for someone else. They're like,
yeah.
Are you going to buy it? Probably not. It's too expensive. Probably not. It's this.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And I don't know. Again, the problem is a lot of these games will be on PC anyway, and those are the kind of people who want to buy this, but they didn't really show, in my opinion, the kind of games they needed to show to make people want this. No. Because a lot of the games what they showed were third-party games that are going to be on other systems, and they showed first-party games, but I'm trying to remember, all other than Ori and the Will of the Wisp, pretty much all their first-party stuff or whatever was stuff we were seeing before.
Yeah.
Getting at it, there was no like big new AAA title that making people really want this.
Yeah, you're right. Like Crackdown, we'd seen. It'd been a long time, but we'd seen.
There's no new Halo or,
Gears.
I think that no Gears. We just had that, but I feel like they would even need more than Halo. They need a big new IP that's exclusive to them.
And that's one thing I think us and a bunch of other people were saying, like leading into E3, what's going to be their big new game that's going to blow us out of the water? And there kind of wasn't. There was a lot of games, but they're kind of like when people left, like they were talking about like, yeah, there was like 40 games, which is crazy, but you left and you kind of had struggled to like say what was your few games that you were like really excited about. I was kind of excited about a lot of games, but there was very few that I could really feel like this was it,
Yeah. As far as like, I'm just counting new games that were announced at their conference, and correct me if there's a game I'm forgetting. But it seems like the new game that was announced in the conference that was talked about the most was Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yeah, which is, and it's not exclusive at all. Like I'm surprised it was even at Microsoft's conference.
Yeah. Hey, as long as more people see that game. But from the sounds of it, see if these will be a big game. Like everyone seems to be hyped for that, especially people who played it saying it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I expect every streamer alive to be playing that game.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was a really good trailer. I mean, this was a good conference. It was just.
It's just underwhelming considering what this should have been.
And what I feel like they needed, they needed too much anyway. And like, the X almost to me seems like, it almost seems like there's a mismessaging from like the marketing side of it. It almost seems like this is what the hardware developers, like the people making consoles at Microsoft made this thing. And then they're like, hey, we're making this and give it to the marketing people. And I almost feel like the marketing side from Microsoft took it and was like, this is going to be our saving grace, and kind of just shoved it everywhere. Whereas, like, maybe even the people making the thing were like, no, this is just it's a good upgrade.
Yeah.
But I think because of the desperate place they're in, they took this and just ran with it. Like, this is going to be our big thing. And I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needed to be made this big a deal of. I thought the Pro, they made too big of a deal of that, having like a showing of it and stuff like that. This was even more, because this was a year of release of announcements and speculation and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Sony's conference. I mean, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't make a big deal of the Pro at all. I mean, they may mention like this may be running on the Pro, but nothing huge.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Sony barely talks at all anymore. They only show gameplay, which is great. I'm not saying I love that.
Just in general, I feel like they don't make a big deal about the Pro anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they kind of came out and they've kind of stopped talking about it. But I guess we should we have a lot of other things to talk about. But just, you have any last Microsoft comments?
Not really add much. Not getting an Xbox One X in general. If I'm gonna get an Xbox, it's gonna be the Xbox One S, because that's really cheap, and we've talked about, I don't care about power.
No.
If I'm gonna get an Xbox at the end of the generation to play those few Xbox exclusives I might want to play, I don't have any at the top of my head right now. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Maybe Sunset Overdrive and stuff.
Yeah.
Play Ori.
You should play Ori.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both Oris by that point.
I saw more reason there to buy an Xbox One S than an X.
That's the only thing, is like the X might end up driving down the price of the S at some point, so I'll be like, oh, cool.
No, here's the thing. If I remember right, they put it at $250. Like, they're going to be the official price, and during the week, I think, right after the conference for a week or so I guess it's done now, if I'm right, it was $200.
Yeah, which is crazy, dude.
Yeah, so unless you really care about power, why not get that?
Seriously. Especially that versus the $500 X. All right, well, let's move on to the other big one, Sony. This, kind of universally, everyone was a little let down by this showing.
But a lot of that was partly because of, I guess, our expectations, because it was a fine conference.
I think it was a lot because of expectations. Still, compared to even a lot of other Sony conferences, this was really good. And, I left here some of the games I'm most excited for came from this conference. And despite even me being, kind of down on some of their decisions doing this, almost every game they showed I'm excited for and I want to play at some point. At least to varying degrees, some of them. But they probably have the lineup still that I'm most excited for, probably. Yeah. I mean, Nintendo's kind of close there for me, and I know for you it's probably more. But Sony, still probably has the most for me.
Understandable.
Right off the bat, I mean, Sony, Xbox, we talked about hardware all the time. Sony was just game. Sean Layden talked twice. That was it. Maybe for a grand total of 5 minutes. Rest was game. And I love it.
Yep.
I hope they keep doing it.
Yeah, there are no complaints for that, so I don't see why they wouldn't do that. They're probably going to be a little more talking, I think, during PSX, because they're probably going to show more.
And it's kind of just their own show anyway. Yeah. They can kind of do what they want.
No one directly... There's going to be nothing to really compare it to at the time.
Yeah.
Other than past, Sony conferences.
And they know they're talking to just, the hardcore the PlayStation fans.
Yeah.
And,
they know... I mean, they'll throw in a couple of the AAA ones, but, it's... A lot of that's more for the smaller games.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to... I feel like PSX doesn't have to be as, now it almost, when you watch the Sony conference, it's very sophisticated and almost seems like an opera or something. It's very, they have their musical thing or whatever. He walks out in the suit, and it's very, theatrical and doing all this, which is cool. I mean, they're building a style about themselves that I really like. Mm-hmm. And it kind of almost elevates video games more. Someone who never pays attention to video games, if you showed them, this is a video game press conference, they'd be like, oh, wow,
Mm-hmm.
This is, this isn't, goofy kid stuff, this is, kind of cool, so...
But why are they hanging people from the ceiling, Darby?
Well, that, which was so weird that, someone pointed out, they hung people from the ceiling. I'm pretty sure someone was only hanging in a tree, hanging there in the Days Gone demo once. So it just happened once. They hung the people, and it was just okay. It just kept going. They just picked that one moment.
There was a different game, but didn't he shuffle for, move a bunch of hanging people? Well, that might have been a different game.
I don't know.
Actually, it might have been a different game, because when I'm thinking, I think it's everyone's kind of wrapped up like mummies or something, but I don't know. No. Let's move on.
All right, anyway, God of War. I just have to talk about God of War looked amazing.
It did look pretty dope.
That's right. Like, I was already excited from last year, but I feel like that was the one for me, like, out of all these games that I feel like kind of, like...
We needed to see more to see, like, was last year a fluke with the demo, or is this game going to really be the real deal?
Right. It was the one that needed to show, like, solid gameplay and solid story stuff, more than just, like, hey, Kratos kind of seems like he's not a horrible character anymore. You know, you needed a little bit more than that, and I feel like they delivered.
I think that's the universal response. Like, okay, this game, it's going to be the real deal. This is going to be the next great Sony game.
Then it's just so surprising because even people who, like, hate God of War, and even people like me, I loved it when I was a kid, but I recognize that they're kind of like, eh. Or, you know, gameplay is good, but their, you know, story and stuff is kind of throwaway. But... just like they're doing something special with this, you know. Seems like,
and early next year,
which is great.
Yeah.
Obviously, other than that, Shadow of the Colossus remake for me and you not a big deal. For everyone else, a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I mean, I might even like pick it up at this point, like with modern graphics and number one, better controls.
Please.
Like, I really hope that they, like, bring the controls to the modern
They've mentioned controls.
Because as much as, like, I mean, I know, like, Shadow of the Colossus is beautiful. It's great. Like, art, like, you know, video game is art game back then or whatever. Even back then, like, the controls are bad. If you haven't played it in a long time, go back and play it. The controls are really bad. But that's a big deal. It looks really good. Blue Point is great.
Yeah.
They're doing these,
I'm sure that makes people happy. Like, they feel good about it.
And I feel good about it coming out somewhat relatively, sort of, or at least not being pushed back forever, you know, because it's them. It's not Team Eco, or at least they're not the main ones.
I mean, and it's a remake. Like, it looks like they're going to do a one-for-one pretty much with prettier graphics. And
so it's a little easier to make, probably. Yeah. Like, it's not
I mean,
like making it.
Yeah. Unless they don't run into some giant technical issues, which... they should be fine.
Yeah.
Though I have heard some stuff. There was some colossi that were not used. That's what they're called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That were planned to be in the game, but they were not used. Some people talking like, hey, maybe they'll add those on for a little bonus.
Yeah, I did. I've heard a lot about that.
But I saw some people saying, no, do not change this game at all. Like, okay, come on.
Well, what were your other highlights from Sony that, like...
Let's see. Highlights from Sony. I like what I saw from Detroit. I would like the release date actually on there and not David Case missing and then passing in an interview. Yeah. Days Gone looked better. Didn't look as boring.
Yeah, still not sold.
Yeah.
Definitely not sold, but definitely looks better. For some reason, I still can't get into Detroit. Like, both of those showings, like, I recognize that they look good. I just can't really get into it. And for some reason, like, I mean, this kind of whole, like, robot uprising thing kind of moved the needle back for me instead of forward. It's just like at least last year's kind of seemed more unique to me. Like, I liked the whole, you know, like just with the humans and the robot or whatever, and then he jumps off the building. You know, all these different things with that. Like, it was a very cool human moment. This was just kind of like, just seemed like, I almost feel like I've kind of seen the, like, robot uprising and, like, the, like, kind of anarchy in the street thing before or whatever. It didn't excite me quite as much.
I understand that. Part of it is, for me, is, yeah, we've seen that bunch of things, but we actually get to control and hopefully influence it more.
Yeah.
If they do it right. And I guess depending how they do it, Connor and Marcus will be on opposing sides, so you get to play both sides.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being cool, but...
Yeah. This is one of those games where I'm really excited for, but I can definitely see it just going very, very wrong.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not the case.
I hope not.
I have trouble thinking of other things. There's Spider-Man, of course, but
yeah,
we were a little more disappointed in that than literally everyone else I've seen.
A lot more. I haven't really seen anyone who is any bit, like, kind of, and I was more negative than you were. Like, I don't want to rope you in with me completely because, like, if people listen to this, chances are they don't agree.
You were like the cinematic stuff and Arkham Combat. I'm more like it was a little too cinematic, and that worries me a little bit. I'm fine with the Arkham Combat for the most part.
Yeah.
I would maybe prefer something different, but then I think about it's like I have trouble thinking of what more they could do as of right now.
It just, to me, it feels like when people criticize like the Uncharted games for being like taking the control away from you too much and being too much like a movie and doing that or whatever. I've never really agreed with those, because I'm like, I don't know, this is just the vibe that Uncharted gives, like it's this cinematic vibe or whatever, and I think it works for that game. But like I feel like this is the first time I feel like those people, where I'm like, the whole time I'm watching it, it's just like, it just feels like I wasn't even playing it and I felt annoyed that I'm like, let me control it. Like, cause it just seemed like the whole time it was like, it barely looked like you were moving as Spider-Man at all. It was like every single time he moved, it was this crazy cinematic jump through this building that I know you're not actually doing in a gameplay sense. I know for a fact you're not, because it's impossible, and that just kind of worries me. But I'm sure we'll be talking about that more later, and I will talk about it more a little bit later. But any other Sony things that just kind of jump out to you? I want to move on to...
Yeah, interesting they had Monster Hunter there. That's all I have. The Uncharted stuff looked cool. Awesome Horizon DLC stuff. Yeah. That's all I can think of.
How are we looking on time, Jeffrey?
I think we're about at 80 minutes.
Okay, well, we will move on.
At least as far as when we started recording.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo, Jeff.
I am pleased. Overall, very pleased with their stuff. Yeah, if you look at just their E3 stuff, it might be a little disappointing, but since they've been consistently announcing stuff for the last couple of months, kind of leading up to this, adding it all together is like, okay, they did a really good job of...
And I thought they had a good presentation. It was a good, tight thing there, the only 25-minute thing or whatever,
Showed the games people wanted and had some surprises in there.
Yeah, and we didn't dwell on the ARMS and Splatoon and stuff that we've already seen so much of.
Yeah, they were they understood okay, we've shown enough of these games, at least right now.
Yeah.
ARMS is coming out, we don't need to show any more of that. And we can show more Splatoon stuff in its own direct, probably.
Yeah, and while they said they were going to focus on 2017 games, there was more 2018 in here than I think everyone thought there was going to be.
Or even beyond.
Yeah, with Metroid and Pokemon announcements and the Yoshi and Kirby. I thought they did a good job of looking forward some, while also obviously Odyssey and even Pokken and stuff like that to show you what's here too.
Yeah,
so it was cool. This is what you can play in the Switch now. This is what you're going to be able to play in the very near future. And then this is in the far future. This is why you should have a Switch going forward.
Yeah, because now beyond 2017, we don't know when exactly it's coming out, but we have Fire Emblem, Kirby, Yoshi, Metroid Prime, and Pokemon to look forward to for the Switch. And that's just all we know about.
Right.
So... yeah, I was very pleased. 2 Metroid games was surprising. Even if one is for the 3DS.
Yeah, very surprising, but it's what people want. And I think, it's what people have wanted for a long time, a new 2D Metroid game.
Yeah, when the last 2 Metroid games, I'm really forgetting one we got, were Other M and Federation Force.
Yeah. Old school Metroid fans and even Prime fans or whatever have had to wait a long time for this.
Yeah.
And just listening to the developers talk and whatever and watching them play the 3D Metroid game, it really seemed like their heart's in the right place with this. They're trying to make a game that does justice to those other ones. I said in our Nintendo reaction things, I'm not crazy about the art style for it. I think part of that is just because of the limitations of the 3DS. When you try to do that 3D thing, 3D models and stuff on the 3DS. I don't think it works that well. It just looks fuzzy and looks bad. And if that was the best they could do with that, I would have rather them just go with pixel art or something like that, or just any sort of 2D thing. I think would have looked a little bit better. But that being said, the gameplay looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, I also have the graphics thing real quick. In my experience, 3DS games normally look better when you have it in your hands than when you're watching it on the computer screen. I'll just say that about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is also just kind of nostalgia and wanting, that kind of thing. But either way.
And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you say you were actually interested in potentially getting this game?
I think I might. If I can find my 3DS.
Yeah.
Because, like, I love, like, Metroidvania type games like
Yeah.
that. Like Ori. Like, I love those type of games, and I feel like I don't get to play them nearly as
now
much as I'd
you're
like
getting
to.
what should be a good new Metroid game or remake.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of game just kind of speaks to me. I've always loved those games, so.
Mm-hmm.
And Metroid is kind of where it started. I mean, not started, but, that's where, like, a lot of people started.
Yeah.
With those. And that's some of my earliest gaming memories. I remember playing Metroid games. So so I'm excited about
Remember
that.
sucking at them.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't great at them either. But they're fun. Like, I'm not saying I'm good at them. They're just fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, though, biggest thing of the show, Super Mario Odyssey looks incredible.
Indeed.
So, do you, like, I think we've talked Super Mario Odyssey to death in our Nintendo Reacts. Go look at that. And we're going to be talking about this game probably every week.
Day one.
Until it comes out, and Jeff's going to get it day one. I might buy a console for this game. Do you think this is going to go down as, like, a classic Mario, like Super Mario 64? Or freaking Galaxy, or one of these that we just remember as, like, this is Mario. Or, like, a redefinition of Mario,
As long as it lives up to expectations, yes.
No.
If it's just not as good as it looks, no. It'll be kind of like, I guess, 3D World and Mario Sunshine, where it's still considered a good game, but some parts of the Mario fan base are kind of more about it, or think it's kind of average, but then some people love it.
Right.
But as long as it lives up to what we've seen and people's expectations of it, I think it will go be remembered like 64 and Galaxy.
I think as long as what they've shown us really is, like, just a small slice that they're talking about it is, and there's, like, so much more to explore and so many more, like I want there to be, like, we've seen some of the mechanics, like throwing the hat, possessing people and stuff like that. Which, by the way, I love. Like, Kratos is mature and he's a dad now, and, like, Mario's out possessing people, and it's like gaming's different. But as long as there's a bunch more mechanics that I'm gonna get to in this game and go, oh, whoa, like, I wasn't expecting that, and that consistently happens, and there's a lot more that we haven't seen. As long as what we've seen is consistent, and there's just a lot more of it, I think it's going to be amazing.
Must be interesting to see what more they do with that 2D thing where he goes into the old school.
I hope that's not just there, because that's really cool. Like, I hope
that one place. I think it's in multiple places, or a couple different scenes.
Okay,
there's no way. I think they show all by they do, and it's just there. That'd be,
and it's just too cool of a thing.
They've showed it in multiple spots, so I guess that might have been in the same world. I don't know. Hopefully, it's not in the same world. But Darby, something we haven't talked about that I saw in Treehouse footage. Captain Toad is in this game.
Is he now?
He is. I think he's in New Donk City.
Is it going to be a treasure tracker? Is it going to randomly become Captain Toad?
We can only hope. But also, I think in an interview with some Nintendo dude, they said they're open to potentially another Captain Toad game. Please.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the people that got that game love that game. And Nintendo's
that'd be a great game for the Switch.
Nintendo kind of seems to be about, like, pleasing people like that anyway at this point. Like, I think there's a good chance for that. Yeah. Well, Jeff, I think we should move on to our highlights and lowlights of E3. We don't have to dwell too much on this, but I'm just interested to see what you've picked. Or I can start if you'd rather me start.
Go ahead.
All right, I have 3 highlights, 3 lowlights for E3 2017. My 3 highest points, they're kind of in order here, like from top to bottom. Number 1 for me, just me personally, like, this is all just my personal beliefs, was the God of War trailer.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, I was just surprised by how much that trailer got me. It's been a while since I've seen a trailer for a game, especially a game that I wasn't anticipating that much, that I just can't stop watching it. I've just watched it over and over again just because I like all the different story beats of it. It's just the way it cuts back and forth from, like, the scene with them with the serpent to the gameplay and this. It was just really well done, and I'm very stoked for it. Number 2 for me was the Mario Odyssey trailer. I mean, come on.
Yes.
Freaking T-Rex is out there. You don't know what the heck you're looking at. And, like, they somehow managed to trick us again into not knowing what game we're looking at. And I feel like that almost just kind of encapsulates what they're doing with this game. Like, it's not your normal Mario game, and they want you to not think that it's Mario. Like, to have some sort of, like, the stuff thing there. That plus all of the gameplay that they showed afterwards, which I watched, like, almost everything they showed, pretty much. And
I didn't want to see anymore.
I
wanted to discover the stuff for myself.
Everything I watched was just better than the last, and it just kept getting more and more interesting, and I think they know what they're doing. My third high point, this is a weird one. My high point was seeing other people online lose their minds when Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced. And this is weird because it wasn't even me. Like, I didn't play Beyond Good and Evil. Like, I don't know anything about this. I'm not really invested in this at all. But this is part of why I love E3, is that the moments when people just lose their minds about something. And there's some announcement that someone didn't see coming. They're completely floored by it. Like I was with the Final Fantasy VII Remake a few years ago. And I feel like I didn't really get many of those, like, crazy floored announcements this year. But it's just so much fun to just watch people be excited about it.
There are a lot of reaction videos to Metroid Prime 4.
That's it, And I just love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it when people are just that happy about it. So that was one of the things I enjoyed most. I just loved, even, like, just looking at people on Twitter, like, going crazy and seeing videos of people going crazy. So yeah, that was it. What was your high points, Jeff?
Well, I gotta start with my game of the show, Darby. Mario, of course.
My game of the show was God of War, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead.
Yeah. That was more to say about Mario. Hyped. Everything looked great. Day one. Etc. Etc. I'm just gonna probably highlight plays just name of a couple is exciting announcements for me and just surprises in general. I guess these are in no particular order. A Way Out. Yeah. That just looks amazing.
That was like runner up. That was like
Yeah. If that is able to do what the developer's setting out to do, that would just be a great couch co-op game.
I agree with you. Definitely one of the best games shown at E3. Like, one of the most interesting. Like,
That's one of those games where it came out of nowhere, and everyone who saw it talking about it were, like, very interested in this game. Unfortunately, I don't think there was anything much more than the trailer at E3, but it comes out in like 2018, so maybe early. I can't remember. So we'll should find out some more pretty soon. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, surprised that I like watching reactions for it just because how happy it made me that this thing exists and people's reactions to it. Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yes, yeah. People are so excited for this game.
Oh yeah, it won a surprising amount or Game of Shows, or at least being nominated and stuff, being high up there for a lot of places.
Never would have saw that coming. That's crazy.
A Dragon Ball Z fighting game would be so, people are so excited for it at E3.
I'm interested to see how it sells. I mean, even if it doesn't sell amazingly, I know the people that get it are going to be like really into it.
And I don't want to assume, but at least maybe even compared to the other Dragon Ball games, I don't feel like the budget may have to be that crazy.
And that's the thing. It looks like a lower budget, but that's not even an insult. It's like they're doing a good thing with it. They're doing better stuff with their budget.
Yeah. And just everyone is excited for it. Is great. I think I saw a developer thing saying two things that has me excited. One, there's supposed to be like a robust single player / story mode. That I really hope that's in there.
That would be cool.
Second thing is, well, there are no plans of it for now. If the demands for it, they'll port it to the Switch. Oh, and they figure out they're going to do that. They might be able to for launch, but they can't make any promise about that. Yeah. And immediately people are like, "Hey, port this to the Switch." Because, I mean, again, what we were saying, it doesn't look like the highest budget, so I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do it and keep like the 60 frames per second, which they need in a fighting game like this.
Right.
So yeah, very excited for that one. Let's see. A late one, but hidden agenda. Just that thing is just in everything it is.
Yeah, well,
we talked about that.
Came out of nowhere for us.
Yeah. Find out after E3 that it existed. Okay. Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Yes. Yes.
One of those few things in a conference that were new. I was like, completely shocked by.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Is this happening?
Yeah.
Like right away, like we did the whole thing, like when people did Beyond and Getting Evil 2.
Yeah.
Like then announcement, we were like, wait, what is this? What we think it is?
It's weird.
I mean, it wasn't exactly, I guess, what we were thinking, but
it's weird. I kind of had 2 of those this year, and they were both in Microsoft. Between that and Ori,
yeah, and Ori,
because I started like Jeff was with me, but I was like, wait, what? Ori.
Yep. Let me see. Yeah, not much to say about Life is Strange, and then we're really excited. And I can't remember if I told you this. I'll just say it right here, just so people know. There's a deluxe edition, I think, on Square Enix's website. Might be available other places for like $25. That includes a bonus 4th episode where you play as Max.
Right.
Doing something. So I'm probably going to get that, so I'll probably end up getting the episodes that come out. I may not be able to resist if I have that.
Yeah, wouldn't blame you.
Great surprise of the show. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
And it's actually a decent game, which I still hold pride that the Nerds at Large Gaming podcast saw this coming. We knew.
Yeah.
We
didn't know, but
we believed.
Yeah.
Like, more than most.
Yeah.
Everyone was ready to shut this game down, and we were giving
We were more open-minded about it.
Well, you ready to get to the low points, Jeff?
Yeah.
I need to get out of here.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, well, I will start. My number 1 low point is Bethesda's short and underwhelming press conference. I just left that conference just really all in all thinking that it didn't need to happen. And it was the first time since Bethesda started doing this that I felt that way. Wolfenstein and Evil Within looked amazing, but they easily could have been in another conference. And I was just disappointed that they had that little to show. And what they did, I don't really feel like they did a great job showing it. Mm-hmm. So that was that. My number 2 was that entire Battlefront 30-minute gameplay thing that just went on and on. I mean, the gameplay wasn't 30 minutes, but it just went on way too long, wasn't done well. And this can kind of extend to just EA being EA, just their conference being kind of disappointing, underwhelming. And my last low point, which is just my low point, again, and we already kind of talked about it, but it's just my low point. The low point was that not that Spider-Man was bad, but that Spider-Man looks like it might not be a game for me, which I was not anticipating. I was going into E3 expecting Spider-Man to be one of the games I was looking forward to the most coming out for PlayStation. But now, even the things that I can recognize are good, they're things that I don't like. Like, I know Arkham combat is good. I know it's good combat. I just don't like it.
Yeah. And
I'm worried, feel like Spider-Man's probably not going to be a game for me. Mm-hmm. We have to see a lot more still. I'm not sold on it not being for me, but that was one of the most disappointing things walking away from E3 for me, was that I might not like Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'm just going to point out the whole thing you said. I'm not sold on it not being for me. Pretty much said, I'm not sold on me being unsold yet.
I recognized that was weird. I was hoping you weren't going to point it out, but you did.
I have to.
All right, whatever. You're right, though.
Sorry. It had to be done.
It did.
But yeah, like I also said, while I'm not as discouraged about what we saw as Darby, yeah, I'm a little more skeptical than I was.
Right.
Not much, but it just kind of seems that way because we're a lot more negative just by being negative than everyone else.
I mean, overall, it was a cool hype trailer, and I get why people are hyped for it. It's just, I think this is a personal hang-up of mine.
Okay, now, lowlights for me, other than, like you said, but that's the Spider-Man being a little disappointing and stuff like that, and kind of EA in general, but that's just EA being EA. There are, unless I can think of some other ones, 2 games I was kind of disappointed in what I saw. And from impression I heard. First one, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. Just we kind of knew this, but the whole HUD thing, it's ridiculous.
It's so bad.
Yeah. And I didn't hear the best things from people that Easy Allies who played it.
Right.
If I remember right. That there's a lot going on, which I kind of expected that to be the case, and I don't know, just the HUD being very distracting. as you think it would be. Like, it's a big open arena, but you can only see, like, less than half the screen.
I mean, like, the HUD is unnecessarily horrible. I mean, like, it could be, like, I could even show, like, you could just condense, you could even show all the same information and condense it down to something manageable. There's just lots of unnecessary space.
My hype will increase a good bit, back up a good bit, if they, well, one, change the hub, or they say we can change the hub, like ourselves, customize the hub.
Yeah, I hope you're able to. Also, it's HUD.
HUD. I don't know why I said hub. I've been saying HUD, but then I said
I just wanted to point out something you did wrong. Yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah, you can change the HUD. Cool.
Yeah.
Keep some stuff that you have to change. Maybe customize the design a little bit so it's not as much in the way.
Yeah.
Like the health bars and stuff. Obviously keep that on there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Other game I'm very disappointed in, from what I saw. Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah.
Mentioned before, I enjoy the Warrior games. I know they're nothing great and they're very samey, but I enjoy a good Warriors game every once in a while when it's
good, dumb fun.
Yeah, when it's based on a franchise I enjoy, like the One Piece games or Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I like those other ones. I didn't see anything that separated this. Like the stuff they showed were very basic stuff. Like, hey, level up, and we do the little Fire Emblem jingle. We do pair ups.
Yeah, and just like the most annoyingly just generic protagonist people you could possibly imagine. I mean, like, straight up, even if the gameplays are right, this was a bad trailer. Like, it was just a...
Well, I'm even talking about like the Treehouse stuff and, again, impressions.
Yeah, okay.
And they keep on talking about the weapons triangle, but the fact that every character they've revealed is a sword user doesn't help that.
And it's just all the ones you would expect, too.
Yeah. And, like you said, generic protagonist, it's like, which I know it's a bad way to look at it, but because the way these games are, that takes up 2 slots.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
for very uninteresting.
Well, and because Fire Emblem has so many to choose from.
I mean, it's different than Hyrule Warriors, where yes, there are a bunch of characters they use, and they added a bunch of them for DLC, but there's less characters used for that. And in my opinion, the original characters that they made were interesting.
Why would we even need protagonists, like new protagonists like that? Just use Fire Emblem.
I mean, this is a crossover thing. It makes kind of BS thing that BS thing that makes them all together. Who cares?
Yeah, just do it. Whatever.
Pretty much what they did with Hyrule Warriors, they made some BS reasons while characters from throughout time pretty much are coming together from the different games.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think anyone's playing these Warrior games expecting the story to completely make sense.
Yeah, especially when crossover type thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's within a franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, that was a little disappointing. It went from, I'm looking into this to right now to, I'm probably not. Just because there's so many other things.
Yeah, which sucks. Because I know you like the Hyrule Warriors a lot. And Fire Emblem just seems like it would lend itself to this well.
Yeah, again, they could win me back by showing some interesting things, but they don't have to do a lot.
Yeah.
Again, with everything else, especially becoming on the fall around South Park and Mario time.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to any game.
Honestly.
I mean, those 2 games, as far as the foreseeable future, I want so much more than about any other game right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was that all? Was that all your low points? Overall, good E3.
Yep. A lot of good stuff in there. We will not be lacking games.
Nope.
For the foreseeable future.
Nope. Well, thank you guys for listening to this. Next week we will be announcing the winner from our E3 predictions. We are hoping to have Will, and that's kind of why we didn't do it this week.
Yep, and I have the points and pretty much the judge. So before we announce it, they probably need to look over and see if they're okay with it.
Yeah, we'll not announce. I guess technically, if you're a really dedicated listener, you should go back and listen and figure it out for yourself. But you don't need to do that. We'll let you know.
No, I did a bunch of partial points PS. They might be able to follow my logic.
Probably not. Yeah, I mean, I rarely follow your logic anyway.
I don't even follow my logic.
Things, yeah. So next week, hopefully, we'll have a video camera so you can see one of us eating a milkshake. Who's it going to be?
Not me.
Spoilers.
I said that during Nintendo's thing.
Yeah, it's not going to be Jeff. Will it be me or Will? Find out next week. All right, thanks so much for listening.
Yep, thank you if you made it this far. For our rambling.
Yeah, you know, go to all the places. All right.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.